Okay, so this video is about how we've been lied to throughout our lives through uh, history and science, the history and science that we've been taught in our school systems, and also programming through the media. Uh, when I was younger, and actually not too much long ago, I used to think people that would question what we've been taught, especially through science, um, were just completely like bad shit nuts. Like elevator wasn't going through the top. A lot of some of these are closed-minded groups which are like Christian fundamentalists. Um, other people that just we've been taught not to respect, like conspiracy theorists and all that kind of stuff. But come to find out, what we've been taught through our school systems, I used to think that there were, a large number of people, like the people, and a series of checks and balances um, under through what's been taught to our children, what's taught to us, the textbooks that are picked, uh, diff, with the curriculums. I thought that there were more people behind the whole just shebang, everything. But come to find out, a very small group of people, and there's a hierarchy also. So the people under that small group of people are taught not to question those at the top. Uh, so there's a hierarchy that picks, how we're taught, how, the culture of our communities and our countries, they have us separated into what they're supposed to be like, what we're supposed to believe, who we're supposed to look up to. Uh, when I went to school, and still, there was very high emphasis on monarchies, also dictatorships and presidencies. We were always taught we needed to uh, look up to someone as a leader, even if the leader was elected. We were taught that this is what we have to do, and this is what we have to abide by. So there's that. There's so much to this. I don't trying to figure out where to start, but I know the points that I want to make. Uh, so with history, all right, first of all, okay, let's start with science. Uh, we've been told humanity started at a certain time. Really, we focus on a little over 2,000 years ago, maybe 3,000 years ago. Uh, but there's evidence that humanity has gone on much longer than that. Uh, they find things they hide from us or that don't fit the story, that their narrative that they tell us is a story. They've found human bones alongside dinosaur bones, giant bones, and that's there's stories about that through many cultures, documents about that through many different cultures in different areas around the world. There's just all types of smaller beings, different beings that seem alien. Let's not even get started about how the oceans have been unexplored, or we're not really allowed to go in certain areas over the oceans. So that's just part of it. Um, there was an experiment a while ago that some teachers did where they separated the students with the blue eyes and the brown eyes. And they, I don't know if I'm telling this right, but this is the gist of the story. Like they said, the ones with the brown eyes, they're superior. They deserve better. They're smarter. They're more intelligent. The ones with the blue eyes are whatever, like basically pieces of shit, drooling. Like they're not worthy as much. They're not as smart. They're not as talented. Um, and they had to pretend like this for a whole week. And then they just found like lower productivity and self confidence in the children who were told they were inferior, the blue-eyed children, and the opposite with the what they were told the brown-eyed children, and also that sometimes there's even attitudes and uh, evidence of them like either oppressing the blue-eyed students or the inferior students that they were told, and just an attitude of better than. Well, we've basically been trained this throughout our history, yeah, and with different races. The most common one that comes to mind is the African American slave trade. Um, they really don't go into other history about the wealth and the history, the continent of Africa. They don't really talk about how there's slavery in every community, or every not community, but every race. There's a history of that. They also many people believe that um, the the black race, they weren't just all of this used to be together like Pangea. Not all of them were brought over as slaves. Uh, some of them were indigenous to the areas, especially like they think like in the island areas, like Jamaica and Haiti, places like that. So what it kind of tells them, the people that are from here and learning the history, like, oh, I wonder if something's wrong with me that my people got got enslaved, or they it might make them feel like like they're less than. And that's not the truth. That's some other people did, and then we were all taught, that for a while, to that some people are better than others and separated, and they had that whole psyche getting going on. So um, so those people were oppressed, or in an oppressed position, um, and still to this day we're dealing with that. But what I'm trying to say is that the way they teach us, we've been taught in schools. I mean, this is just one example of how detrimental it can be to our psyches. And we're also taught to be dependent on the systems, to look up to leaders, to not really uh, critical think and trust our own instincts as much. Um, we also are not taught, and I'm not going to go into organized religion because that can be extremely oppressive, but we're not taught that there's more to this reality than just the physical realm, what we can see. It's only a tiny spectrum of what's out there, and our minds are very powerful. Um, we're in charge of a lot. We can be our own creators, especially um, those of us. Those of you that are watching us. Those of us that have souls, that are we're here to learn, and we're part of this. We can create this reality, um, and we create it collectively. So if we can awaken more of the chosen ones, the ones that have God in them, uh, that have their own minds, to these lies they've been taught, then it's easier for us to collectively change the world and raise our vibration. Uh, so I believe in the scientific method. I'm a logical person. I even believe modern medicine has saved a lot of people in certain instances, but I also believe that it is a big business to make money now, and they're really just trying to trap you, make forever patients instead of actually curing a disease. And I think that Mother Nature has given us so much more that we have forgotten, or gotten so separated from, that we don't realize. And I do believe that we could cure every disease and ailment we have, with Mother Nature, with sunlight, with moonlight, with the plants that grow from the earth, the rich soil, um, salt water, the ocean, all that stuff is just very healing. We just don't get the time. We don't get the time to just like spend by ourselves, just being grateful and reflecting. We're like trapped in these boxes, worried about paying rent, paying for our electricity, our phones, just everything, when it used to all be free. And that's a big drain on us. I think that's why you'll see in old writings, ancient writings, people lived just about as long as they wanted. You can see like people like in the Bible in Noah's time. I'm definitely not saying that. I mean, the Bible has its problems, but this is an example of an ancient text that has people live for 700, 600, 700 years. Uh, this time that we're in, it's just really challenging, and we're basically having, I think our big job is to figure out all the lies we've been told and correct those lies. That's a huge part of it, and to realize our power within ourselves. I'm still doing that. I'm still on my journey. I'm still trying to get over um, childhood trauma, different things that were drilled into my head, expectations society expects of us, what I expect of myself, what's real from my heart, what's authentic, and what's ego. Trying to separate all that and learn all that, and I think that's a big part of this life. So yeah, scientific method is it's extremely important. It's a way of figuring things out and coming to some conclusions. But there's also studies on how the probability of our experiments turning out the way we want them to is very high. And if a corporation or a business is paying for a scientist that my cat keeps jumping on and off the bed, that's why it's shaking. Um, but the probability, um, when a corporation is paying for scientists or research to be done, it's going to be skewed to the way that they want it. So if it's a certain pharmaceutical or a vaccine or anything like that, they might not be playing with a level playing field. Is what I'm saying is we need to take more with a grain of salt, use our intuition more, because a lot of it either has an agenda behind it, from where they're just trying to make money, to even darker agendas where they're trying to possibly weaken or control the population. So it's just things we need to take into account. We can't just like be like, oh, I trust, uh, all these PhD scholars, scientists, whatever, because not all of them are on our side. Not all of them, most of them, especially the ones that are in the media that are at forefront, they're not working for us. They're working for their billionaire, trillionaire cronies, or the invisible people we can't see, or I don't want to call them people, the invisible uh, contradictions and opposition we're getting, so we can learn in this life. But there's, a huge, uh, a huge element we don't see that's controlling things and pulling strings, and we just really need to trust in ourselves a lot more and unlearn a lot of what we've been taught. History itself is a lot broader than just European and American history. There are a lot more rich cultures, uh, belief systems, natural medicine, ways to heal yourself, and just so much more. There were goddess worshiping cultures. There were other ways people lived, that were different from the way our societies are. They've also diminished the tribal way of living. and made us think that those people are savages, where some of them actually had higher technology, and I believe such high technology that we can't even see them in our reality anymore. I know that might sound weird. They allude to this in some comics, like the Amazon, it, where Wonder Woman's from, uh, and also where Black Panther. That society is hidden from us, uh, and I myself believe it's a reality that once a society vibes so high, we might not be able to see them anymore in this 3D reality. But if we keep learning more and raising our vibration, getting connected to nature again, not being so dependent on being inside in the 72 degree controlled environment under fluorescent lights, with electronics around us all the time that we're dependent on, we notice more and more. And I know every time I go out in nature and spend time, I always see some type of miracle, or it's almost like I have a spirit and totem animals visit me. Just more and more beauty I notice, the more in tune I get. And I could see that this could turn into a place like Avatar, like the in the movie Avatar, a community like that where they're living in accordance with nature, and uh, they're part of it, not working against it, or uh, having artificially made uh, just tools and devices that hurt the system instead of working with it. So I just want to put this out there. Just plant some seeds in people's heads. Maybe rethink, if you haven't already, rethink some of the things you've been taught. There might be truth to some of it, but I think it's only like that much, and there's a huge picture that we're not being told. And we were taught just to basically put our minds in a box, disconnect us from our spirituality, our intuition, our ability to critically think and make decisions for ourselves, and basically trained to go and get a robot job, or something that's really not truly fulfilling to us or even this world. Uh, and I think there's so much more than that. And I also think we um, life should be more like we're on vacation a lot more. We should be uh, by the beach, by the ocean, have much more, working out in the sunlight, have much more tolerance to the sun, have much more tolerance to the elements, to cold and heat. We know a lot more secrets of, you know, plants that we can eat, medicinal plants, so much more. Hopefully we get the chance to discover this together, create a better world. I believe that's what we're supposed to do. Let me know what you think. If you have any comments or anything to add to this, please like and subscribe to this channel. And I hope I can continue to keep doing these. This is Moon with Unraveling the Matrix, signing off.